Happy Friday, guys. I'm Aaron from PhoneDog.com. We've got a bunch of new phones in the house, some of which have come from CES 2012, but some of these devices are coming in from overseas because, after all, we've got PhoneDog fans everywhere. So this one is an international goodie. It's the HTC Sensation XL. Now, this thing packs a single-core 1.4 gigahertz processor, a 4.7-inch display, an 8-megapixel camera on the back with 720p HD video recording, and Android 2.3 with HTC Sense version 3.5. It also has Beats integration out of the box, and it comes with a nifty little pair of Beats headphones. So this is an XL device for XL hands. Get it? XL, Sensation XL. I thought it was funny, but hey, it's Friday. Give me some credit. The Sensation XL, we're going to do a full review on this and see if this is a device you should get. Maybe you should bring it in from overseas if you're in the US, or if you should wait for something else. But first, some love to Best Buy Mobile. When you go into Best Buy Mobile, you'll walk out working. They'll help you set up your email, your web, your call settings, your camera settings, and more. So when you walk out that door, your phone's set up. It's ready to go at Best Buy Mobile. They hook us up with a ton of phones, kind of like this, for use in our one-paw bandit game. Let's take a look. HTC Sensation XL. Is this a device for you? We'll find out starting right now. It's an international device, but that doesn't stop us from reviewing it at PhoneDog because we're an international website. We've got a ton of international followers. So here it is, the Sensation XL. Now this bad boy, according to HTC, is not coming to the United States. What they've historically done in the past is they've said, like, well, this isn't coming to the US, but then they release it as like the HTC something 4G LTE on AT&T, and all of a sudden it's coming to the US. But HTC assures me this time around that this device is in no way coming to the US. But still, you can get this imported from several different specialty retailers online: Expansis USA, Negri Electronics, etc. And it is a pretty decent device despite having a single-core processor. Just to give you the lowdown on the specs, it's got a 1.4 gigahertz single-core Snapdragon CPU, which is kind of interesting given this whole dual-core trend and, in 2012 quad-core trend that's coming out. It's kind of weird to see an Android device with a single-core processor, but 1.4 gigahertz single-core Snapdragon processor. It's got a 4.7-inch Super LCD display, WVGA. It's got an 8-megapixel camera on the back with 720p HD video recording. It's got Beats audio built into this device. And then down here you can see, actually I keep doing this because I'm used to some of the American Windows phones where this thing slides off, but actually the full battery door comes off to reveal a 1,600 milliamp hour battery. And otherwise, it looks a lot like the HTC Titan, kind of a combination between the HTC Titan on AT&T and then the HTC some of the tablets like the Flyer as well, but still fits pretty well in the hand, though. I will say 4.7 inches is definitely, for me at least, on the large end. It's definitely one of those phones where it's like, I can carry it, but this is as far as I will go. 5.3 inches on the Galaxy Note, a little bit too big for me personally. This is about as big as it gets for my hands, but still, relatively easy. I still can barely reach over there to the side, but relatively easy to hold with one hand. But just to give you a look and a rundown here, micro USB charging port over on the left side, volume rocker over on the right. Got your camera, of course, with dual LED flash on the back, your 3.5mm headphone jack up top, and the power button up top as well. Now this supports 850, 900, 1800, and 1900 megahertz GSM bands, and then on the HSDPA side, 850, 900, and 2100. So I have an AT&T SIM card in this. This does not support T-Mobile at all in the 3G territory in the United States. So it doesn't support 1700 megahertz AWS. So if you have T-Mobile, you're going to get Edge, and that's as high as you're going to get on this device. Now here's the kicker. I have an AT&T SIM card in this bad boy, and you can see that I'm still getting Edge. And you're thinking, well, why are you getting Edge if 850 megahertz is supported by this device? Well, in North Carolina and South Carolina, AT&T primarily uses 1900 megahertz spectrum and not 850. So if you're in Virginia, you're in California, you're in Nevada, you're in Texas, you may be good with this device and it may support 3G on AT&T, but at least if you're in the Carolinas or you're in another area in the United States that exclusively supports 1900 megahertz on AT&T, you're going to be out of luck, and that's why you're seeing Edge up on top of my device. But like I said, 1600 milliamp hour battery, a little bit on the small side for such a big device with a big display, but you can see how responsive this thing is. When I pulled it out of the box, I worked with a ton of HTC phones, and I'm like, I'm kind of expecting that typical Sense 3.5 lag. It's a little bit of a kind of bogged down at times, kind of an experience from the Resound. This phone, and this is what threw me, this phone operates in day-to-day performance faster than the HTC Resound, which has a dual-core 1.5 gigahertz processor. So it's kind of, I'm sitting here at my desk one night thinking, why is this thing with a single-core processor outperforming the Resound with a dual-core processor that's not only dual-core, but it's clocked faster as well. I'm not sure, I couldn't give you an answer for certain, but I will say it's nice and speedy, even with a single core processor. And, in terms of battery consumption, I think you'll experience a better number in battery life department as a result as well. But you can just see very quick, very speedy, little to no lag on this bad boy. And of course, because it is an unlocked version that HTC was nice enough to send over, which I'm going to give them some love here. Special thanks to HTC. Thanks for sending it over. We really appreciate it. And sending over the full box, brand new and brand sealed too, so that was nice of them. But you don't get a whole lot of carrier stuff pre-installed in this bad boy. You get Adobe Reader, typical Google stuff, because obviously it's an unlocked version. Dropbox, you get Facebook and then FB Chat, and then you get HTC Hub and HTC Likes, two of my favorite programs by HTC, because they realize that, hey, you may want to customize this device beyond what comes on it. So you can see you've got some menu options here with frequent and downloaded applications, but let's say you want to change the color a little bit. Let's say you want to make some changes there. Well, you can do so with Hub and HTC Likes, which I'll show you in just a few minutes. But Polaris Office pre-installed, some stuff that I've installed, SoundHound, you've got typical HTC stuff like Stocks, Tasks, you've got Tango, and then you have Wi-Fi hotspot as well. So just a couple different things. You'll notice it's in the international configuration with 2 L's for voice dialer and personalization with an S, as opposed to, actually I'm sorry, with a Z on this side, but it should say, interestingly enough, it does have Z over here. It's supposed to be in the UK version of English. I'm surprised it's not an S. But you can see personalization menu, and this gets into what I was talking about with HTC Sense and HTC Hub rather, and HTC Likes. You can come over here and go to display, and HTC offers a ton of customizations on all of their devices that are running Sense, but particularly in Sense 3.0 and Sense 3.5. So you can see here, scene, skin, wallpaper, lock screen style can be changed. So I can change the lock screen, for example, to a weather lock screen. And so I can come over here and hit apply, and we'll change that. And so when I go back out and turn it back on, you can see it's going to give me the weather for the location that I'm at, which is unusually hot to be January 27th. It drives me nuts at 62 degrees, but hey, that's a rant for another day. So you got some shortcuts here as well, and if I want to access messages, I can quickly and easily roll into messages and get there. But still, like I said earlier in the video, very responsive for a single core 1.4 gigahertz processor. And this is one of my demo devices that I have. I think it's the Galaxy Nexus, and I was just shooting off some random text messages. Like I don't know why I said terrible delays at Charlotte Douglas, because there weren't delays on Monday at that time, if I remember right. But just shooting off the breeze, and you do get the one keyboard that you get on this device is the Sense keyboard. So I can say the quick brown fox is ready to fly away to California. So because this thing has a gigantic display, or at least what I would consider to be gigantic, 4.7 inches, you can use it easily in portrait or in landscape mode. And I can come down here and access the keyboard again if I so desire. And you've got some nice navigation keys over there on the side as well. But transition effects nice and fast. And again, keep in mind, single core processor is really tearing it up in the speed department. But easy to type on. And then let me make one minor change here to see if it has HTC's trace input pre-installed, which I believe it does. I'm going to go down to keyboards and settings. I'm going to go to touch input, and let's get trace keyboard turned on so you can see what that's like as well. So you don't get any additional keyboards pre-installed out of the box, but you really get kind of a 2-for-1 special here with HTC's trace input. So you can turn that on and immediately use a swipe-like feature. How are you doing? And I'm really not good at it, but you get the idea. You can be typing along, and all of a sudden you want to change it over, which that worked. Change it over. I'm terrible at this, but you get the idea, and then you can easily switch back to your keyboard as well. So 2 keyboards in one there. It's pretty easy to use. Otherwise, typical Sense 3.5 setup here with your notifications and quick setting tabs within your notifications bar, and then you got your frequently used applications up top as well. Total memory on this device, 768 megabytes, of which 442 is used right now. You've got a built-in task manager, so I can come in here and kill all these running tasks, and I can refresh it without the need for a third-party solution like Advanced Task Killer. There was that big hubbub for so long about whether task killers help or hurt your Android device. Well, now that HTC and Samsung and Motorola are pre-installing these out of the box, it makes it a little bit easier and a little bit more comfortable to use what comes pre-installed in the box. Then you've got some shortcuts over here where I can turn on Wi-Fi hotspot, Bluetooth, airplane mode, and more easily. And of course, I can press and hold the power button and access quite a bit of that as well, at least in terms of restart and in terms of airplane mode. But you do, back to what I was saying, you get a lot of customizations. Not only here, you can of course change the wallpaper, change the skin, but when it says get more up here at the top, I can access HTC Hub and HTC Likes, and it's a free application from HTC where I can go on and get additional skins or additional wallpapers or additional ringtones from HTC's online store. So they realize that you want to personalize it probably beyond what comes pre-installed. So it's nice that that's pre-installed on the Sensation XL. When you see some of the US branded HTC devices like Verizon's, for example, the Resound, you'll notice that it's gone. Well, usually it's a carrier decision to remove that. So Verizon's made a decision at some point in the product cycle to remove that before launching it. So it's nice to see on an unlocked international device this nice little HTC Hub feature. And then of course you've got widgets as well. And you've got 7 home screens on this device with a lot of different widget choices. Now, it does kind of burn me up a little bit that HTC Sense does not have customizable widgets. You look at calendar, for example, and you can do some customizations. You'll notice, of course, out of the gate, you've got 3 different calendar widgets here. And you have a month-long widget, you've got an agenda widget, and then you have this little one as well that shows you kind of 1, maybe 2 appointments. I think it's just 1 actually. And you can select different sizes, but once they're on the home screen, you can't customize the size. So you do get a lot of different choices. We can go into messages, for example, and you get a couple of different options here. And we can select that, but it's a gigantic widget. And if you don't have space on the home screen, for example, on this one, it's not going to fit. So you're either going to have to find a smaller one or do without it. Whereas when you come over here, there's not a whole lot of space left on the screen. I love some customizable widgets on this device, so I could pick and choose, kind of throw a customizable one in there, and then kind of mix and match and fill up all the space on the device. So just a little pet peeve, but still, even in Sense 3.5, that feature is not available just yet. Now let me pull this away here so I can get rid of some of these calls. Forgive me here, call history. I'm going to remove these because somebody kept calling this demo phone this morning, and I don't want their number to appear on camera because that'd just be mean. But you can see here, here's what it looks like. Typical call log, and you've got your tabs down here, people, groups, and call history, and I can easily scroll back and forth. And on that note, they do a great job in the organizational department. If we'll go into people in Sense 3.5, you can see all the different contacts I have. So we'll find phone dog Aaron, for example, and this is a demo phone as well that I have. I think it's the Captivate Glide, if I remember right. But I've got a picture shortcut. I've got the fact that it's linked via Google. I've got some shortcuts here to call or send a text message to the organization I work for, the group, a lot of different features. But I can come down here and I can do a couple of different things. I can scroll over to Thread, for example. I can see if I have any messages from phone dog Aaron, any emails or any call history. I can come over to Updates and see some changes. Then I can go to Gallery and see if there are pictures tagged with phone dog Aaron. So when you really get a lot of context in there, it's nice to come over and say, hey, when did I last talk to Aaron? When did I last send him a text message? When did we have email correspondence last? You can see it all in Sense 3.5, and it's really organized, and again, very easy to access and very speedy as well. Let's take a look at the browser also before we cut for part 2, and we'll go into phonedog.com and wait for it to load up. Now I should have kicked it over onto Wi-Fi because Edge is a little bit on the slow side, but still we'll go ahead and access it like this, and hopefully it loads up relatively quickly. Again, very quick operation here. You can see portrait to landscape transitions. It's got a nice little transition effect that throws your eye away from it throws your eye away. That sounds pretty nasty actually. Throws your eye or let's say fools your eye, that's a little bit of a better way of saying it, into thinking it's a little bit more smooth than it actually is. But phone dog's loading up, and you can see pinch to zoom, very responsive. And just overall, the feeling that I keep getting with this device is this sucker only has a single core processor, and this is smoother than most of the HTC devices that I've tested in the past 4 or 6 months, the HTC Android devices that is, in the past 4 or 6 months. Very responsive. Page isn't even fully loaded yet, and transitions are fast. You got some nice pinch to zoom features and more. So really impressive on the browser front. You got the typical Sense 3.5 stuff in here, like the ability to add a bookmark. You can come over here and do new windows, and it'll pick you up right where you left off when you decide that you want to go back to phonedog.com, which that's always where you want to go. So it'll bring you right back and do it in style as well, and do it pretty quickly. But pinch to zoom, very responsive, and overall I've been really impressed with the speed of this device.